It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, I just happened to see this. I was just going through the Drudge Report and just found this in the last minute. Really interesting. Got to look into more of this. It was a column written at LifeSite News, but it was written by Jonathan Van Moren, who is the communications director for the Canadian Centre for Bioethical Reform. This is really interesting since we've been talking healthcare. The headline: Lack of adequate health care pushing Canadians towards assisted suicide. A family of one elderly man is speaking out about the terrible hospital conditions that led their father to request euthanasia before he died of natural causes. The family of Cleo Grant, an 84-year-old retired diamond driller who died earlier this month in Ontario of natural causes after being approved for assisted suicide, is speaking publicly about their appalling experience with the Canadian healthcare system. According to the CBC, the elderly man told his family he would rather die than go back to the Health Sciences North in Sudbury, Ontario. And then a recent stay there found him, who was suffering from heart disease and kidney failure, spending one night in the emergency room and then was transferred to a bed sitting in a hallway on the 7th floor. There were no lights. All the lights in the hallway had been completely removed. His daughter told CBC the only light we had was almost like a desk lamp that had been bolted to the wall. Patients were passing by. Nurses were going by. No privacy, no compassion, no dignity. The visit took place in mid-October, after which the man decided to apply for medical aid in dying, assisted suicide. Lynn said that nurses had to use headlamps to inspect her father's feet and that the experience was just one thing after another, and it really opened our eyes to what's going on in our hospitals. My dad said, push, push, push for change, make people aware of what's going on, open the discussion, bring it to your member of parliament, keep going straight up. The family is now honoring his wishes to speak about his experiences. The doctors and nurses were amazing, but she said they seemed way overworked. Why are they still taking in patients if we have an overcrowding issue and they have no place to put these people? He died of natural causes before he could actually go into assisted suicide. Then he goes through more of a list. He says in Quebec last year, Norman Munier, a quadriplegic man, developed bed sores after 4 days, left on an ER stretcher without a good mattress. That experience, combined with the lack of available home care, pushed him to request and receive assisted suicide. An unnamed woman in her 80s, referred to in a report as Mrs. B, MAID report, received MAID earlier this year after requesting, that's assisted suicide report, after requesting but being denied palliative or hospice care. Instead, her spouse, burning out as a result of her care, a rushed MAID assessment was completed, and she died by lethal injection. In 2022, another 44-year-old Winnipeg woman died by euthanasia after failing to receive home care resources she had desperately sought. In her obituary, she said she could have had more time if she'd had more help. In 2019, a 41-year-old was euthanized after spending years attempting to find and fund the home care and resources he needed to stay in the community where his son lived. He did not want to die, but felt that he had no other choice. And among other stories, at least 4 Canadian veterans were offered assisted suicide in lieu of unavailable mental health supports that they were requesting. Sources, stories of Canadians seeking care, mental health, resources, home care, and other medical support, finding that the only option available to them is assisted suicide. That goes one up on what, what's his name said at Berkeley, Robert Reich.
Yeah.
Let old people die, offer them a way to die.
Yeah.
Finding that their only option available to them is assisted suicide, it's become more routine over the past several years. Euthanasia has become a pressure valve for an overworked and underfunded healthcare system, serving an aging population increasingly in need of complex care. And if assisted suicide for mental health illness is legalized, is legal, things will get much, much worse.
Wow.
There you go. And again, that is he's a Canadian. Jonathan serves as the communications director for the Canadian Center for Bioethical Reform. So there you go. Wow.
Yeah, that's scary. That's a scary scenario all the way around. The healthcare system, and again, all sounds great and wonderful when you, in terms of their healthcare system or any socialized healthcare system in the world, as long as you don't need it for serious reasons. But we saw that with, again, in the U.S., when there was the talk during the Obamacare, basically what brought about Obamacare discussions. And you mentioned Robert Reich. We talked about it before. Speaking at Berkeley, if I'm running for president, and I'm going to tell you the truth when it comes to health care, young people, you're going to pay more. Only a few applauded. Old people, we're going to let you go home and die. And that's the reality of socialized medicine, is that those that need it the most don't get what they need. And it sounds all great and wonderful because you hear the word free. Well, no, somebody's got to pay for it. And at some point, thank you, Margaret Thatcher, you run out of other people's money, so you are only going to afford certain things as a government, as the payer. So you start with rationing care. And that becomes the biggest part of it. And again, when you're young or middle-aged and healthy and you don't have any serious problems, the moment it gets serious is when we start hearing the stories about all of the problems.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, because when I saw it, I went, all right, Bill Maher listening to the show. And he cursed in this one, so I can't play the actual audio cut, but I can read the transcript. All right?
All right.
This is Bill Maher from last Friday. Here's what he said.
Okay.
Quote, Zohran can't make, that's
Mamdani.
Can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar.
Yeah, right.
Democratic socialism is like a dating profile. Things look great until you meet up in the real world. For example, Bernie Sanders' big thing was always bringing single-payer health care to our country of 340 million. But when liberal tie-dye Vermont tried to do it for a population of 626,000 people, it collapsed.
Yeah.
They couldn't do exactly what we have said.
Exactly.
Over and over
We've used
again.
that example along with California.
And Colorado.
And Colorado, that those are the states that tried to do that move and couldn't do that move because they can't borrow money like the federal government can. And they could have taxed their citizens of those states through the roof to pay for it.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do that. They know that's political suicide. You can't do that.
Well, it's what it's becoming, and that's why we like to break things down. Let's break it down completely. the base level. What was it all about? And with Democrats, the whole thing about health care.
Mm-hmm.
What Democrats were saying last week is Obamacare is failing miserably. Just pay for it, even though it's failing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what it was about.
Yeah.
It's failing. Right. Just pay the subsidies so people don't think it's failing.
Right.
But it's failing. We haven't been able to control. Everything that we promised you was a lie. Mm-hmm. So what are they doing? It's simply for everything in socialism right now, everything that they want, and you see it from Mamdani in New York City. We want to do all these things for New York City. Well, you can't afford to do it. Well, I want to raise the taxes here in New York City, but I also want to raise the taxes all across New York State to pay for what we want in New York City. Right. They can't pay for it, and so their whole thing is we can't pay for it. We really can't get other people to pay for it now because when you've got Hochul saying, no, we can't do this. Hochul. And by the way, how come there has been no, come to Jesus from the Democratic Party on that one? You know, which would be you're out. Now, I did read a couple of articles over the weekend. It is on X stating she better come around to our side because we need to raise taxes on the rich in New York State and in New York City.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to. You can promise everything in the world, but somebody's got to pay for it. Mamdani has made it clear he can't pay for it. New York City can't pay for it. The entirety of New York State has to pay for what New York City wants.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no free. In fact, we're going to take it from people through higher costs because they want to severely raise the corporate tax rate. So we're going to pass it on to the consumer. So the average Joe or Jane, and by the way, as we've always said, corporate taxes hurt the poor the most because they can at least afford to pay it. But Democrats love corporate taxes. Why? Yeah. It's a stealth tax on the middle class and the poor. Mm-hmm. They love that. Mm-hmm. They try to BS you by saying, oh, we're going after the rich corporations. No, they pass it on. And so who's affected the most with increasing costs? The poor. Yep. So Mamdani, who says, I care about the poor, wants to tax the poor all across New York State to pay for what New York City wants, and they won't get any benefits out of it.
Right.
And when it comes to health care, they do not want to pay for health care. They don't even want it. They want future generations. They want their great-grandchildren to pay for their health care today. End of story. That's it. Otherwise, Democrats, you can have your liberal nirvana. You can have it in California. You can have it in Illinois. You can have it in New York. Move there. Demand that they give you a state health care system that you're willing to pay for.
$5 per gallon on gas. That's the tax. That's where you start.
Right.
But it'll pay for it. I remember a British friend of mine actually said to me one time, this goes back years, he said, yeah, we have a new petrol tax. They call it petrol over there. We have a new petrol tax starting next month. I said, oh, man, sorry about that. He goes, no, it's going to be great. It's going to go into our healthcare system. And I just stopped right there. I said, well, glad you think it's good news. That's because you get into that whole debate of that. And I love the guy, but my gosh. Now, they've been steeped over there across the pond. They've been steeped in that kind of socialism. Try that here again. You can do it. Those states can do it. $5 a gallon. That's not that much, right?
Right. $5 a gallon.
Oh, what about the EVs?
You should be driving anyway.
Oh, the EV is going to have to be taxed by the
mile,
the charge hour, or the mileage.
No, the foot.
Mm-hmm. There, yeah.
They're not going to be going long distances.
Right.
You charge EVs not by their mileage, but by the foot.
Right.
Or meter.
Exactly. We'll go European.
Let's go European. Right.
Yeah.
It won't sound as bad.
Right.
We're taxing you by the meter.
By the meter. Right.
We'll have a meter judging your meters.
Yeah, exactly. And a wine tax. Not a beer tax, a wine tax. It's California.
I was thinking because the hemp industry now, that hemp law won't take effect for a year.
Yeah, it doesn't phase in until they've got, and the hemp industry is saying they're going to really work on lobbying to get this changed by the end of 26 so that it never kicks in. But
I saw a letter or whatever, email, whatever, from on social media from Tommy Chong.
Oh?
We're going to fight this, and you've still got a year to get all your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he's credible there.
All right. Yeah. But it will be interesting to look at the lobbying and also it'll be interesting to see if they make any progress with lobbying over the next year on that issue. I'm very curious about that.
Is this the in to get that 7 or 8% federal tax that they want on pot?
Well, maybe. Because you could apply it to hemp.
Is anybody going to come?
Any THC product?
Is there going to be mass protest if you say, okay, we'll legalize the hemp products, but if it's used for this, it goes up in price, 8% or 10% for the big guy?
Where I always said it was going. Here we go.
Let's see how close we are if that happens.
Could be.
A year from now.
Yeah.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Idling a diesel uses about a gallon of fuel per hour, which can cost you about $180 per week at $4.50 per gallon if your truck idles 8 hours a day. Idling easily can cost you a few thousand more in fuel alone per year, not including the added engine maintenance expense that results from excessive idling. In addition to operating costs, many governments impose no idling laws and regulations with fines as high as $25,000. Instead, there are many alternatives. An extra blanket for cold temperatures, window screens for when the weather is warm, bunk heaters, and various auxiliary power unit options abound in this day and age too, many powered just by batteries. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, our Senator John Kennedy audio cut of the weekend.
That's always fun.
There was another audio cut I wanted to play too. That was yeah. Yeah. I got to play. I got to make sure I play this one.
Okay.
Pete Buttigieg saying, the problem with the Democratic Party, quote, I'll play the audio, but just want to read the quote here because I don't have enough time to play the entire audio. We got sucked into an America that defined everything by identity.
Uh-oh. Someone's running. Trying to move to the center or something?
What was it? Is this big black hole that you couldn't stop? Right. No, Democrats made the choice to become racist.
Right.
And judge people by groups and not individuals. Nobody gets pulled into it. No. I got pulled in. I'm an adult person. I got pulled into it. I got sucked into it. Uh-huh. I would have never agreed to this, but I got sucked into it. Yeah. Those people sucked me into it. Who are those people?
Yeah.
Those we don't speak of.
That's right.
That's from M. Night and
Shyamalan,
and the Village.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when you want. All right, here we go. Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, all right.
It's just when I hear stuff like this, it just drives me crazy. All right. I'm just going to play it, all right? Just play it and comment.
All right.
I'm complaining too much before I've already played the audio, so I'm pre-complaining. Here we go.
Yeah, look, I think we got sucked into an account of America that defined everything by identity at the expense of everything else. And what it meant was, there were expressions in the Democratic Party that suggested that all that matters to where you fit and is based on your identity, and therefore the only things we can do for you have to do with your identity.
How long have we said that for? Now, except for the getting, sucked into it part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bogus. That's a bogus premise because it was created. It was on purpose. It was driven. It was their destiny that they set out to create in terms of what it's become.
Right.
But on the other side of that, or the other part of that, is that here's somebody again on the left who's trying to separate himself from identity politics.
Right.
And it clearly shows he wants to try and be centered. Look, he thinks he's the king in Iowa. He gets these polls that come out that were nowhere close to 28 that show, look how great he's doing. And it's, yeah. Hold off on that. But he takes his tie off, rolls his sleeve up, goes into the cornfields of Iowa and shakes some hands, and then tries to talk like a moderate. And then you get into the policies of things that he would create. But if you're going to separate yourself, if this is more than just a comment, and if he's going to be on this new crusade of doing away with calling on his party to do away with identity politics, number one, good luck, because they're not anywhere close to being done with it. In fact, the radicals are only about that. They believe it's working. They believe that it's winning over young people all over again, that this is the new era of the Democratic Party led by Mamdani and Jasmine Crockett and AOC.
And they're not going to practice class warfare or identity politics.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But when Buttigieg says that, I mean, right when he said, we got sucked into the identity politics thing. No, you didn't. Stop lying. You didn't get sucked into it. You consciously said, I am going to embrace this because either you believe it or you believed it was a legitimate way to win in the political arena.
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get sucked. You're an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get sucked in. Wow. I used to love Jewish people, but I got sucked into this anti-Semitism. It just happened.
Right.
It was just an organic thing. I wasn't a racist. I wasn't an anti-Semite, but I got sucked into it because of peer pressure.
I went out to a protest. All of a sudden, anti-Semitism broke out.
Right.
I just kind of fell into it. I had to go with the flow, get along, go along to get along.
I love Jewish people, and then I watched the episode of Seinfeld where Uncle Leo was blaming everything on anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got sucked into being an anti-Semite because of Uncle Leo.
Mm-hmm.
It's his fault.
I didn't know what I was doing.
I didn't know what I was doing. No. You think as an adult I should be able to be this autonomous person that makes judgments on my own? You know, the funny thing is, he's almost stating that his belief in identity politics is what caused him to believe identity politics. We. There's no we. There's an I.
Right.
I got sucked into it or whatever.
Right.
What do you mean we got sucked? Yeah, we get sucked into being a racist. That's just a damn excuse. He doesn't want to take responsibility for the fact that the Democratic Party has mainstreamed one of the most immoral things that human beings can do, and that's to be a racist.
Well, and keep in mind, at one time, Pete Buttigieg was accused of not being gay enough by some on the left. Remember that whole thing?
Yes.
And I don't verbatim recall his response.
I do remember that.
You know, but that was part of this whole thing and is still very much alive in that we need you to be more of your identity.
Right. Yes.
Don't be just Pete.
Right.
You need to be your identity. And again, I don't recall his response when that happened several years ago, but it's further indication and more proof that this is what was built. You're part of a party that built this, and you know it. You know that it was always going to end here, where those who basically only run on their identity think that they're winning and think that that's what everybody else in the party needs to do. That's what they're calling on, certainly would be calling or will be calling on him to do if he runs in 28.
I wish that when that came up, the Democrats actually had a debate on that one. Look, Pete Buttigieg just isn't gay enough. That's what Pete Buttigieg is not gay enough. No, I think he is.
Right.
How?
Well,
why do you say that?
Frank Luntz is going around the room. Oh, you had your hand up, sir. Yeah, I think he's the right amount of gay. What? I mean, what does it even mean?
What's his musical selection again?
Right.
What's he listening to?
Right. If I could see his shoes, I'd know. What? I mean, it's that's how that right there tells you how ridiculous identity politics is.
He's younger, so does he consider Bronski beat classic rock?
Right, exactly.
Well, no. Well, then he's not gay enough.
Right.
I mean, what is he? What?
Does Morrissey cheer him up? Okay, we have a problem.
Something that brings back, I'll never forget my buddy Jeff a long time ago when he sat there and he said he goes, you ever listen to the Smiths much? I go, no, I hear it in the alternative station, but I don't pay that much attention. He said, you got to pay attention to the lyrics of it. I mean, this guy is the most depressed human being ever in the history of all depressed human beings.
Yeah, it just is. Wow.
Or I remember, forget another moment when REM first came out. I can still remember being with my buddy, the late Mark Stone, who was a great radio broadcaster from the Gulf Coast, Fort Walton Beach area, Destin, and all that back then. Before he died in '88 of testicular cancer. Great guy, though. But I'll never forget, we're driving down the road. We're going to a Japanese restaurant in Pensacola. He goes, let me put in this new band for you. He goes, they're called REM. Tell me if you can understand one word.
Yeah.
It's like, and you could not. Because, come on, pick out one word. And he's like going through 3 or 4 songs. I couldn't pick out one word.
Yeah. That was back when, remember when it was called college music?
College radio, yeah.
College,
But that's a rabbit hole to go down. But they actually said that you and I had the discussion on it. Pete Buttigieg isn't gay enough. How?
Well, again, it points out the ridiculous idea behind identity politics, which is, I think, what he's trying to say in the audio cut you just heard. But you're part of the party, and the policies you support align with the party. You know, it might sting a little bit still that at one point they called you out for not being gay enough. And his point is, I just want to run for office. Well, that's where your party is.
Yeah.
That you are a part of. And you know, because the cop-out in that whole thing, we were sucked in to this whole no. It was by design.
Mm-hmm. It's calculated.
And the design is to create more victims every day and more oppressors every day. And you create more by creating more identities every day. And that's always been about, you know, the we're going to protect you. The Democratic Party is always going to be here to protect you and save you. We're the heroes.
I'm really interested to see how, if you've got Democrats like Buttigieg trying to get out of the identity politics, how he's going to try to squirm out of it, because somebody's going to call him on it. But I want to play here our Senator John Kennedy audio cut of the weekend on socialism.
All right.
Here we go.
Well, those who have read history, okay, they understand that socialism is for morons. I love Seattle. They just elected a new mayor. I don't know her, but I've read a lot about her. She's a typical moonbat. She's a community organizer. Probably eats tofu and organic broccoli. She's a self-avowed socialist.
Organic. He forgot some of the words. Organically, locally grown, locally sourced
broccoli,
fair trade.
What's the fair trade market for broccoli?
Well, because
you want it? I don't want it. You can have nobody wants the broccoli.
Organic has just become one of those words like blah 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 blah. No. You got to go full on locally sourced organic trade. Organic broccoli.
Probably eats tofu and manure grown broccoli.
Yeah.
Not as appetizing.
Like the farmer with a bucket of manure, and the guy says, "Where are you going with that?" "I'm going to put it on my strawberries." And the guy says, "I usually use whipped cream."
We're Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, I forgot when I first saw it, whether it was Friday or Saturday, but the whole Hunter Biden interview that he did on the podcast.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is because it's the end of the hour.
Right. Yeah.
And I just went, is this going to be around Monday? And except for me bringing it up, I don't think anybody's going to be talking about it. You did see a few over the weekend, people talking about it, but it was just like, the left does. It's like, we don't want anyone to hear from. Go away.
Right.
Go away.
No, I think the left is done with all the Bidens.
Yeah, it's like,
I really think they are.
And Fox just had the headline over the weekend: Hunter Biden urges Democrats to turn the temperature up when pressed on extremism. Well, turn the temperature up, but not to the point of violence.
Oh, man.
It's like, I don't think anybody cares
Right.
what any of the Bidens think.
Right. Well, it's kind of rich coming from a guy who used to hold a hot crack pipe in his hand. He knows about turning the temperature up, doesn't he? I think he does. So, I would.
Fucking Eric for the win.
There you go.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.